time again. Stew peas time again. The big pot call me friend, because I stew peas time again. Alright now. Anyway, guys, so today we are making some stew peas. Yes. As a matter of fact, it is the eve of the stew peas making day, the night before, and so I'm kicking this video off showing you guys how I am preparing the peas, because peas can take a while to cook, you guys. It takes forever, and so if you don't want to pressure it, or if you don't want to pressure it for too long, then what you can do is, like I'm doing, is pre-soak it. So I'm just measuring the peas. I'm pretty much using the entire package. Yes. And I believe it's 2 cups. I measured 1 cup so far. Well, I guess it's 1.5 cups. Yeah, about 1.5 cups. And what I'm gonna do is to ensure that it is properly rinsed to get rid of any impurity, any debris, any dirt. Alright, so it's been properly washed like 2 times, and I'm just gonna catch water on it, make sure it's properly covered with the water, and I'm gonna just leave a piece of garlic clove, because garlic helps to soften the peas, and leave it overnight, and tomorrow we should be good to go with the boiling process. Alright, so I have this much garlic clove. Just drop it in the water, cover the container, and we'll catch up with it tomorrow morning. Alright? Yeah. Alright, so the next thing that I have to do by way of prep is to cut up my pigtail, because these are salted pigtail, cured, corned pigtail, and so they are pretty salty. And by soaking them overnight, it helps to minimize the salt a great deal. So I'm just gonna cut them into small pieces and soak them overnight, so that tomorrow you don't have to boil them for eternity in order for the saltiness to be minimized. You know what I'm saying? Alright, so sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not, to cut these things. You have to try to find a joint. Yeah, once you kind of toggle it, you'll feel where the joint is. I think it's right here. Yes. so it's the next day, the next morning actually, and I'm about to get the ball a rolling, or the pot a rolling, yes. So what I'm gonna do is just pour the peas, and I did go ahead and add another half cup of peas. Those small dark red peas is what I added to the regular kidney bean. So in all we have 2 cups of peas essentially. Alright, so I'm gonna pour the peas in the pot so it can start cooking. And like I said last night, it is supposed to be easier for it to cook since it's been soaking overnight, and so it has gotten a bit more tender. So we will allow it to come to a boil, and then we will show you how the dish progresses. Yes. Alright, so in this pot I have water that is boiling, and the pigtail that was being soaked overnight, I'm just going to put it in the water so that it can boil. And I don't think I need to boil it more than once, of course, because it was soaking. Then it shouldn't be as salty as it usually would. Usually I would boil it like 2 to 3 times, but yeah, I think 1 time should do the trick, but we shall see. And the peas pot has begun to boil over here. Yes, the peas is doing its thing, and it's nowhere near done cooking, so we will come back to it shortly. So I ended up changing the water because I tasted a piece of the pigtail meat and it was still salty, so I am boiling it for a second time. And then over here we have our chicken feet. What is stew peas without chicken foot? Of course. So I'm gonna just do a little quick seasoning, nothing major, just some garlic powder, just a little bit of garlic powder and some black pepper. And just a sprinkle of Laurie's, literally just a sprinkle. And then you mix that in, and I'm going to be adding it to the peas shortly. Once the peas is almost to the point where it's fully cooked, then I'm going to add the chicken feet to that. Alright, so in the meantime, while the pot is doing what it's doing, I'm going to go ahead and make a very important dough, for my spinners. This is very necessary in any stew peas dish, you guys. Any pot of stew peas that you're making, you have to have some spinners. And spinners is just pretty much dumpling that is made, in small, tiny, long, worm-like shape. A joke. And for the spinners, what I used is 2 cups of flour, just 3 teaspoons of cornmeal, a little tip of salt, and now I'm adding my water to knead the dough. And yeah, spinners is just basically dumplings, but they're made in a small, long shape. And this will help to thicken the stew peas pot. So it is very important that you add this to your stew peas if you're making stew peas, because it will make all the difference. And then those delicious spinners will just, taste nice and scrumptious when you're eating the dish. Alright, so after the dough is fully kneaded, I'm just going to set it aside and wait until it is kneaded at the end of towards the end of the cooking process. Okay, Alright, the peas is pretty much almost cooked. Not fully cooked, but I mean the rest of the time when it's cooking down with the meat, it should be sufficient to, you know, make it finish up properly. So I'm gonna go ahead now and I'm adding the meat, the pigtail, and adding the chicken foot also at the same time. And I have some boiling water. I'm gonna add about 2 cups of that, because you need for it to, you know, simmer down properly again, so that the chicken foot cook and the peas finish cook and the pigtail pretty much just mellow down into the pot. Yeah. Cover and allow it to do its thing. And in about 15 minutes, I will check on it to see where it's at. Alright, so it's been 15 minutes and now is the point where I'm going to be adding my coconut milk. And you cannot skip on this step, you guys. Coconut milk gives the amazing flavor that the stew peas needs to be, you know, just an awesome dish. So I'm using 1 can. You can use the powdered one if you want, just dilute it. And you can, you know, if you're the real MVP, you can actually break the coconut, grate it or blend it and use the real coconut. However, time is of the essence here, so we're using a canned coconut cream, coconut milk. Just mix that in, and right away I'm going to be adding the spinners so that that can cook down and that the stew peas can start to get the nice texture that you want. Right now it's runny, but by it cooking down with the dumpling or the spinners, it will, you know, get that nice thicker texture that the stew peas needs to have. Alright, so after adding the spinners, I'm just going to incorporate everything together so that the pot can start doing, you know, what is necessary to get the pot to the stage where it is totally finished. Yeah, we're on the final leg, you guys. I'm just going to be adding my fresh seasonings now, and then just allow it to simmer down until, you know, once again the pot is done and the texture of the sauce is right. So let us just leave it, let it do its thing, and we shall return. Stew peas, what's that? Yard style. Alright, we have some fresh green onions or scallions, and I'm just rough chopping them to put into my stew peas. Alright, so we're all done, and I'm adding a very generous amount of scallion to my stew peas. This is a lot of stew peas, you guys. You may have to modify the measurement if you want to make a smaller batch, but this is made for 2 households, and so that is why I'm using so much. But you know, you guys can modify it based on how much you want to make. And then I have a whole bundle of thyme. Just adding that in. And just mixing everything together once more. And I can already tell that the texture is starting to thicken, which is how you want it to be. You don't want it to be too thick. And as a little a tip for you guys, if you make your stew peas too thick initially, once it cools down, it will get even thicker. So don't watch the fact that it's not super thick, you know, initially. Once the pot is turned off and the stew peas begins to cool down, then it will thicken. So be careful about making it too thick initially. All right, so yeah, just gonna allow those to permeate, as the hubby would say, so that the flavor can, you know, be distributed in the dish. And we will come back. Oh, one more thing, one more important thing. Do not go anywhere. Hold on, wait a minute. You can't forget your scotchy. Alright, so we have a pepper here. I'm gonna add it, and the flavor from that pepper, you don't want it to burst unless you are a pepper lover like that, but you just want the flavors from the pepper to, you know, just become very noticeable in your dish. And so that's why you're adding it and leaving it to simmer. And you will tell the difference. Once you uncover the pot, you will actually smell the peppered flavor without it being super hot, unless of course the pepper breaks, and that's where the problem will come. Alright, I just turned off the stove 15 minutes later. No, not 15, 10 minutes later. And as you can see, this is the texture of the sauce in my stew peas, and this is perfect. You don't want to get it thicker than this initially, because once the pot cooled down, as I explained, it would get thicker than you want it. So yeah, it will be perfect once it cools down some. And this is our stew peas, you guys. And the process takes a while because, as you can see, or as you saw, I did not use a pressure cooker. So it took a little while. I believe the entire process took maybe 3 hours or less, a little bit less than 3 hours, but it was worth it. I mean, if I had a pressure cooker that was big enough, then it would have, you know, sped up the process a bit, but we're fine, we're fine, we're fine. Stew peas is done, and the next thing you'll see is the Z-plating. So stay tuned for that. Yes, you guys, it is done and ready to be devoured. OMG. And don't worry about the amount of stew peas. That's just how the thing set. When the stew pea is nice and ready, you want to eat mostly stew peas and not too much rice. So yeah, this is our plating. Just served it up with a little bit of cucumber on the side and a few slices of tomato. Yeah, it looks so delicious. I cannot wait to dig in. Amazing. Thank you guys for watching, and as usual, remember to subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Remember to hit the notification bell so that you can get notified every time we post or when we go live. And remember to comment, like, and share, and tell a friend about Yardie Belly TV, because Yardie Belly TV doing big things in and around South Florida. Alright? Bless yourself up, and remember, live and laugh, cook and eat. Something said.